Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney,
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in news and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when Dame Judy had yet to thank the Phoenicians.
This is episode 11, the top 5 table service restaurants at Walt Disney World.
Or 5. I have to choose 5? I picked a top 14.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian Adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And this is episode 11. Today we're talking about the top 5 restaurants at Walt Disney World. We're going to branch out a little bit beyond the Epcotian barrier, so to speak, and look at things at the resorts and at the other parks. We're not going to include Disney Springs in this, is that right?
Yeah, we're not going to do quick service restaurants. We're not going to do Disney Springs. We're just going to do the table service restaurants where someone would actually come to your table, take your order, bring you a menu, that kind of thing.
That makes sense. So places where you can go in and actually get waited on.
Oh, and we're not going to include lounges.
Good idea, because I think there's probably enough out there to do a top 5 lounges just at Epcot.
Yeah, I think that we'll probably do its own episode at some point.
Good idea.
So as with other lists, these are our ideas. These aren't anything that we're saying you should do, but if you're looking for something new, you might want to try one of these that we're recommending. And also, as we've done with our other top 5 lists, we have not compared lists.
This is going to be interesting to see if we have some crossover on this. I'm pretty sure we'll have a little bit of crossover, but I don't know. I think there's going to be some surprises here.
I guarantee we're going to have at least a few crossovers, but that's because we like some of the same things. So
well, that's true.
So what we're looking at for these, we're going to be rating food, service, and atmosphere. We're not going to give each one of those its own rating or anything. We're just looking at the whole package for a restaurant. With that in mind, should we jump on in?
Let's jump right in. Number 5. For me, Todd English's Blue Zoo at the Dolphin.
Oh my gosh.
I know, you thought that was going to be a lot higher, didn't you?
I thought that was going to be so much higher.
Wait until you see what I put higher than this one.
Holy
and for what
moly.
reasons.
Okay.
To me, Todd English's Blue Zoo is almost the perfect restaurant. They have a fantastic lounge, a fantastic seafood menu, which we grew up on the coast of California, so we love seafood. But the only reason they ranked lower on this list is because the other 4 have memories for me. We've been to Blue Zoo only a few times and love it, but for me, the emotional side weighed out when it comes down to the ratings for the other 4.
Totally fair.
So my favorites there.
I kind of talked over you. I'm so sorry. I was blown away that this was number 5 for you. But you did mention that this is at the Dolphin Hotel, which is one of the Epcot area resort hotels.
Right. It's actually owned by Marriott or Sheraton, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. So shake and bake fries, garlic and rosemary on those things. I mean, that's an appetizer, and it's at the top of my list of things that I crave from this place.
It's so good. You can get that as one of your sides on any of your entrees, and they are phenomenal.
Yeah, the other thing that we tried, I think we've had it both times, is the risotto tots. They come with a white truffle oil on them, and not too heavy.
We're actually very picky when it comes to truffle oil on things, a little too much, and it tastes like you're eating pure chemicals. And these ones do it just right. So
both times we've been there, I've gotten what they just call simply fish. It's the tuna, mahi, snapper, salmon, or swordfish, and then you get to choose a sauce. They have a crab meat Dijon, a salsa verde, a charred tomato, and a white wine that you can choose from. And I've played with a couple of different versions of that, and I've yet to find anything I don't like.
They usually seem to have a fresh catch of the day, too, like a seasonal or a daily special. And I think last time when we were in there, we chose to do our Thanksgiving meal there this year. Mm-hmm. And we asked the waiter what he recommended as far as pairings for the fish and the sauce. And we did that the last couple times, and we've not gone wrong.
They were spectacular.
Yeah, anything is going to be amazing. And the fish also comes with risotto and seasonal vegetables.
That's right. The risotto. I mentioned the risotto balls, but the risotto itself is the best I've ever had in my life. And it's not something I would normally order, but it came with the fish, and it was perfect.
Yeah,
phenomenal. It wasn't dry. It wasn't too creamy. It was just perfect risotto.
So good.
And the service there it's as good as any Disney restaurant, Disney-owned restaurant.
Yeah, their service is third. My third favorite.
Third favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as far as service goes.
So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is a bit of a wild card. It might even be on your list since you mentioned that you are choosing based on memories. But I chose Kona Cafe.
Love Kona Cafe over at the Poly.
Yes, this is at the Polynesian Resort. And I did mention that we are using Atmosphere as a rank. And Atmosphere here, the colors are big and bold. It's right in the lobby almost, like just off the second floor of the lobby, so it can be a little loud.
I love the Polynesian theme of the resort though too. So
yes.
It carries over into the restaurant very well.
A little bit, but as far as Atmosphere goes, it's kind of like a Hawaiian Denny's.
I would say that actually they did an upgrade just a while back actually, and they have upgraded the atmosphere and the decor a bit.
Now, we particularly like to go here for breakfast. For a long time, this was a tradition for us to do our last day at the resort to have breakfast at Kona Cafe. And it's one of those things that we just look forward to. And we got the same thing every single time.
Tonga toast.
Tonga toast. If you know, you know.
Oh, banana stuffed French toast covered in cinnamon and a butter that is just dripping with macadamia.
No, you have to order that on the side. That does not come with it.
That's true. That's right. We always get it, though, because...
Yes, it comes with the macadamia pancakes.
Macadamia.
But you can ask for the macadamia butter. That's my personal hack. It also has a strawberry compote. And we used to, once upon a time, before they changed the menu during the closure...
Don't say the word.
Closure. We'll say
closure, right.
We used to... One of us would get the Tonga toast. One of us would get the Samoan. So what it is poached eggs, and it's on top of a pulled pork hash with potatoes, and it has a hollandaise sauce and greens on top.
Derule.
It sounds like a strange combination. I totally admit that, but it is absolutely magical. And when you have that as your savory dish, and then the Tonga toast as your sweet dish, and you do half and half, it is an absolutely perfect breakfast. You get a press pot of the Kona coffee.
Oh yeah,
and it's like the perfect breakfast.
It's always been one of those things that was just a go-to for us because of the flavors and because of the atmosphere. It was always kind of our last day specialty that we would do for ourselves before we had to go out and catch our flight.
Yes, and that was just one of those things. I'm so sad if Disney's listening, and please bring back that Samoan dish. It was so good. So I don't know what it's like for lunch or dinner. We've never been there for lunch or dinner. This was our breakfast spot. So we highly recommend that if you can fit it into your day.
Number 4. We're actually going to go right next door. Ohana.
Oh.
Ohana, if you're not familiar, is an all-you-care-to-eat vegetarian's nightmare. This is all-you-can-eat meat. Arby's says they have the meats? No. Ohana has the meats.
It's true.
They bring them around on skewers and just start putting them on your plate as much as you can eat it. Please don't overindulge, of course.
Yeah.
But
Ew.
they also start with what a lot of people call the nudes, which are Ohana noodles.
They're like a teriyaki flavor. They're almost sweet.
Yeah, like a sweet chili, maybe?
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
They're so good. Well, they call them teriyaki,
noodles.
but...
Yeah, they're the perfect noodles, and they're the perfect complement to the meat. They also then end with an amazing bread pudding. But this goes back, for me, back when it used to end with a pineapple and caramel dessert. And literally, that's what it was. It was a stack of pineapple right off the tree, I swear. Yeah,
yes.
Not out of a can. No. This and a little ramekin of warm caramel. This is one of those things that is just stuck in my memory as something that I cannot do without. If I think of caramel, I think of pineapple. If I think of pineapple, I think of caramel. And it's Ohana's fault. Now, that's no longer available. However, we've ordered it at Red Lobster. We've ordered it at any place that has pineapple and caramel will look at you weird, but if they can find a price for it, they'll sell it to you.
Yeah, it's one of those things that sounds so bizarre, like it should not work because of the acidity and the creaminess, and it absolutely is so good.
I also want to call out the wings that they bring out with the appetizers.
The other thing that they have that sticks out in my mind is those dumplings. They have those little pot stickers, and they shouldn't be as good as they are, and they are just phenomenal.
This also was our mom and dad's favorite place to eat at Walt Disney World. We had taken them there a couple times, and both of them just loved going there. So
they had been to Hawaii a couple times. Yeah. We've never been to Hawaii, but they took the two older kids when they were kids and had been a couple times, just the two of them. So getting to go to Ohana with them was our version of getting to almost go to Hawaii.
We really, really have great memories for that.
Yes. So my number 4, we're going to go back into the park side way of things. I'm going to hop over to the studios, and I'm going to go with the Hollywood Brown Derby.
Good choice.
This was close because when I said at the beginning that I had 14 as my top choices, I wasn't kidding.
She wasn't kidding,
I
folks.
literally wrote down. I just started writing down my favorite things, like the best experiences, and I ended up with 14. So this was a very hard list to cultivate. However, Hollywood Brown Derby is pretty much a staple for us. If we are going to do a sit down while we're at Studios or Kingdom or any of those, it'll typically be Brown Derby inside the parks. It is known for the Cobb salad.
Yeah, they created the Cobb salad, actually, and will serve it to you with a variety of meat.
Yes.
We actually love the shrimp that you can get.
It's so good.
It's a chilled shrimp that goes with a chilled salad. They used to make a tableside. Unfortunately, since the closure, they have not gotten back to doing that.
I hope they get back to doing that. It was impressive.
It was. But the chopped veggies with the finely chopped lettuce and the shrimp is just a perfect combination. And then the dressing.
Yes, and they just call it their house dressing. It's the Cobb dressing. But this is a little different. Like if you were to go to Applebee's and get a Cobb salad, this is different. That is regular lettuce with regular size veggies on top. This is everything all mixed and minced together. So the whole thing is sort of this blend of delicious salty and sweet, and you're getting little chunks of everything in every bite, and it is an amazing experience.
It's sweety and meaty all together. It is just, it's really, to me, I'm not a big salad person. This is the perfect salad for me.
Yes.
It's not something you have to worry about getting a large piece of lettuce and then a little piece of lettuce. Because it's minced, it is very easy to eat, and it doesn't feel heavy.
No,
and being in
not at
a
all.
Disney park, especially in the summertime, that's huge.
And so is the salad. It is ginormous. And we share it so that we don't typically get desserts when we go to places. But when we go to the Brown Derby, we get that Cobb salad with the shrimp, and we split it. And then we get the grapefruit cake.
Oh, the grapefruit cake.
And we split that. Now, the grapefruit cake has a funny history. This is from the Hollywood Brown Derby, the original one in Hollywood, California, where they based this one off of. And all the stars would come in. They would all come in and do their lunch there. That's why there's all the caricatures all over the wall. They're all done in that fun style that you think of when you think of the Hollywood caricatures of the stars. That's what's all over the walls, and it's so fun. But in real life, in the real one, they would actually come in there, and that's how they would get their faces on the wall. And one of the stars, and I don't even know who it was anymore, but one of them came in and said that they were on this very popular grapefruit diet, so they could not indulge in dessert. And so the waiter actually came up with the grapefruit cake as a way to get them to have dessert, which I just think is so funny.
That's today in Hollywood trivia. The more you know.
You're welcome.
Knowledge is power.
And they also have a grapefruit martini, which I love. It's sweet, but it's sour, and it is just a perfect, refreshing adult beverage.
Now, they have a full menu. They have the chicken dishes, the fish dishes, the meat dishes, just like all the other American-based restaurants at Disney. But however, we've never gotten past the Cobb salad because it's just that good.
Yep.
Now, here's a fun fact. If you go to the lounge, which is outside seating, they actually do have a small version of the Cobb salad available at the lounge.
And they also have a martini flight available out there, which is fun. Little fun fact for you.
Nice. All right.
So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the Hollywood Brown Derby.
Woohoo! Hey, I've heard of that place.
So what's your number 3? No, actually, it's very telling that is right in the middle of our list. We do have a few other things that are going to be higher on the list, but this one is really something that does way into Sue and I's psyche, really, when it comes to thinking of food at Disney. It's that good.
It really is.
So what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Toledo.
Oh, at the Coronado.
Coronado
Yeah.
Springs Hotel. Now, I don't know if it's Toledo or Toledo. We actually discussed this the other day. We've heard it both ways. I think people just say Toledo so they sound a little fancier, but I think it's actually Toledo. I don't know, but it's spelled just like the city in Ohio.
But the food is better than the food
Yes.
in Toledo. I shouldn't say that. I've never been to Toledo.
Well, that's a good point.
That's mean, yeah.
Poor Toledo.
Poor Toledo.
I mean, Klinger likes it.
Well, that's true. Yeah, the Mudheads. Yeah.
But they have more of a Mediterranean or Spanish flair to their menu. They have a couple of charcuterie boards. They've got a whole plate just of olives. They've got all kinds of different appetizers that you can get. That we had one of the charcuterie boards for a table of 4 of us. And then our friend Emily got the appetizer that was the octopus. And I got a bite of it. And it was absolutely incredible.
I don't like eating things that try to eat you back or hold on to you as you're eating them. So I
It
let
did
Sue
stick
do
to the
that.
plate a little bit. No, I was kidding. No, it was absolutely perfect. It was sweet and very tender. There was no rubbery texture to it at all. It should never have that texture. So if you've had it before and think you don't like it because that's what it was, this isn't that. It should not be that. Calamari is the same way, which they also have there. But again, if you've tried calamari and it tasted like you were eating fried rubber bands, that was not done properly.
That's why you don't order calamari at Denny's. Yeah.
Exactly. So when we went, I got a fish dish, Rod got the lamb. But really, the reason that you go here, the service, first of all, was absolutely top notch. This is my favorite service that we've had.
Yeah, it had to be some of the best we've had on Disney property.
It was
seriously
phenomenal.
You're paying a premium price to eat at Toledo. See, I'm fancy. Toledo. I had my,
So
had my
fancy.
pinkies up when I said that. To the point where you expect a better service quality there. And I'm not knocking any cast member at any restaurant. However, the group that is at Toledo is just amazing.
Yes.
I could not believe how attentive they were and how right on they were with their suggestions and just over-the-top friendly, which is what you expect at Disney. But as you know, since COVID... Oh, I said the C
You
word.
said the C
I'm
word.
so sorry. Since the closure, there had been some problems with cast members being new. Well, we went shortly after everything reopened, and it was still stellar.
It was amazing. And one of the reasons that people enjoy this particular location is it is at the rooftop. And it's a fireworks view. You have a view of parks. We saw fireworks from studios and from... Was it Epcot that you can see?
You can
I'm trying
see
to remember.
Epcot Studios. Yeah, it points out
I mean,
towards...
they're not perfect views,
kind of like
obviously. You
Disney
don't go there.
Springs, so, yeah.
If you've never seen the fireworks show, this is not the place to see it. But when you have, and it just adds to the magic. It's so cool. But the true standout of this meal was the dessert. It's called the Toledo Tapas Bar Dessert.
Right.
It's described, I'm just going to read the description to you. It's a progressive dessert tasting with the flavors of vanilla cheesecake, lemon curd, raspberry mousse, chocolate mousse, and Spanish coffee custard. So if you picture like a chocolate rectangle, and then there's little dollops of each of those flavors on top, and you start with the vanilla cheesecake and you work your way through to the coffee, so they get progressively more intense as you go through. And it is absolutely an experience. It is phenomenal. I'll post a picture because I took a picture when we were there, because of course I did. But it is really, really exquisite.
It was so yummy. The lemon was my favorite.
Mine too. And that was smack dab in the middle. The coffee was my second favorite, and then the raspberry. But they were all good.
Highly recommended to get that tasting.
Yes, for sure. So moving into number 2.
Number 2, Skipper's Canteen at the Magic Kingdom.
Nice.
I am an ex-skipper. I spell boat, B-O-T-E. And I can shoot the bull as well as the hippos. they opened up a restaurant with skippers. Come on. Why was that not done years ago? I mean, I loved the old Tahitian Terrace at Disneyland, but the Skipper's Canteen should have been what was there the whole time.
Absolutely.
The atmosphere is fantastic. As far as I go, it's actually my top pick for the atmosphere.
I would second that. It's amazing.
They even have a hidden room if you ask for, you can get put in. It's one of the parts of the SEA, or the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which the Jungle Cruise now belongs to.
I love that. If you don't know what SEA is, you should do a little research because it is super fun, and they've added it all throughout different parts of all the parks, and that's worldwide parks.
Yeah, we actually first discovered it at Tokyo Disney Sea while we were there.
Yeah, that was so fun.
So my favorite part of their menu is the not so hidden items. They have 2 hidden items that you used to have to ask for or know about. They're actually on a little card now on the table. But one is a bread service and one is meat skewers. Aside from that, the Dan Dan noodles with the spicy chili sauce and the crispy pork. It's got pickled veggies and greens on it, and it's actually one of my favorite things in Magic Kingdom to eat. It's fantastic. We've also done a fried rice there before.
Yes, and that tastes like chicken because it is.
Yes, really good.
It's so good. And this is far and away the best table service restaurant at Magic Kingdom. And I would include table service and quick service and
I would say
pretty
it's
much
the best
anything
food.
at Magic Kingdom. It is by far the best.
I mean, considering the second best food at Magic Kingdom is probably the Subway for the cast members down in the Utilidors.
Unless we're counting the spring roll cart.
The spring roll cart is the best snack by far. But yeah, I'm sorry. Magic Kingdom food is just not up to the par of Disneyland food.
No, Disneyland has a phenomenal food. We'll have to do a whole episode on that.
That's a great idea.
But as far as Magic Kingdom goes, you nailed it. It is definitely Skipper's Canteen.
Yeah. And what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Todd English's Blue Zoo.
Oh, very good choice. We haven't heard about Blue Zoo. Is
Yeah,
that the
totally
dolphin? Wait a minute. I'm getting this Vuja Day. The feeling this has never happened before.
Yeah, so I don't really have a whole lot to add to what we already talked about. I do want to mention a couple of the other side options, though, because the mac and cheese is amazing. You talked about the risotto tots and the shake and bake fries. They also have a side of corn, which is basically street corn in a bowl.
I had forgotten about that.
Sweet corn with lime, crema, and cotija cheese. And I mean, you say street corn and I'm there. It's
I
like
was
one
dipping
of
my bread
things.
in that now that I remember. Yes, I was just literally putting on a bread and eating it like a flatbread. It was so good.
Oh, it's so good. And the other one, I basically called out all of the sides, but the roasted Brussels sprouts are also really good. They are cooked with bacon and balsamic, and they are crispy and bite size and just absolutely perfect. So that's about all I have to add to Blue Zoo, except the drink menu is also very unique and very, very good. I can't even call out a specific one because everything we've tried there on the drink menu has been just top notch.
I had their smoked old fashioned when I was there.
Oh, that was
I've
so
actually had
pretty.
it twice. I had it once with the meal the first time we went, then when we were waiting in the bar for our table on this last time, I had it again, and it's actually one of the best I've had.
So good. So we're up to number 1 then.
Number 1, Yak and Yeti.
Woohoo!
Again, my only table service restaurant, not counting a lounge, because Nomad Lounge is part of Tiffin's, but it's its own thing. It is the only sit-down restaurant generally that we go to at Animal Kingdom.
And we should specify we have not tried Tiffin's yet. If you're saying that Tiffin's is the better restaurant, you may be right. We haven't been yet, so don't add us. We'll go.
Yeah. Just let us know down in the comments. So Yak and Yeti, we've been there several times. We've done the Korean beef. We've done their pork pot stickers. The fried green beans there on the appetizer menu are fantastic. Oh my gosh.
So good.
The lettuce cups, the firecracker shrimp, I think is my favorite thing in all of Animal Kingdom.
I love that firecracker shrimp. It is so, so good.
Yeah, it's... Again, you could work your way down the appetizer list and never even get to entrees here. They also have a new Korean fried chicken that I have not tried yet, but am dying to.
We need to go to get that.
We need to go to get that. Yeah, it's, again, we've worked our way down the menu as far as we could, but you have to go back time after time after time. This restaurant, too, is, as far as atmosphere, at Magic Kingdom, I said the Skipper's Canteen. This rivals that at Animal Kingdom. It's actually run by a group from outside. It's Landry's that runs it. But they've managed to keep the Disney theming to the nth degree. Even the staircase is actually brought over from a foreign country, and each step has a meaning. If you ask them about it, they'll actually be able to tell you about that.
It's so cool. Yeah, it is over the top in theming. It is just absolutely perfectly done right.
If you get a Landry's gift card, or actually you can use the gift card there, or if you actually belong to the Landry's Club, you can actually get in without a reservation by just going up and showing your Landry's Club, and they'll get you on the wait list.
That is a huge tip right there, because it can be hard to get into Yak and Yeti. It is a popular restaurant, and that's a great way to sort of skip the line and be able to get into one of those tougher restaurants.
Yep. What is your number one?
My number one is Yak and Yeti.
I had a feeling, since I hadn't heard the name yet.
There's a couple things that I do want to call out on the menu for mine as well. The ahi nachos.
Oh, yes.
They're
yes.
very similar to what we tried at Confisco Grill at Universal Islands of Adventure. It's the wonton chips and the perfectly seared ahi and the wasabi cream and all the things that you would think would be on there. And it is absolutely phenomenal. And then the other thing that I want to call out is the Dragon Roll Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. We split that one time.
It is spicy tuna, dynamite crab, teriyaki salmon, cucumbers, edamame, carrots, mango, tempura crunch, and it's served over sushi rice in a bowl, and it is just to die for.
It basically, if you had the best sushi roll ever and it exploded, this is what's left.
This would be it. And when we were there with our friend Andy, he got the Malaysian seafood curry, and we got to taste that, and that was also phenomenal. That's one I would like to go back and get a full dish of, because it was incredible. Oh, and I just wanted to call out real quick a couple of the drinks off the menu. We haven't really given those their due diligence in this review, but these ones are just particularly some of my favorites. The Pink Himalayan is Ford's Gin, Ruby Red, grapefruit juice, passion fruit, and lemongrass flavors with a salt rim. I actually prefer no salt rim, but that drink is absolutely delicious. And then the other one is the Big Bamboo. And isn't that a song from...
That's Me Ol' Bamboo, and that's from
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang with Dick Van Dyke.
But this drink is called the Big Bamboo.
And I believe that is a Sherman Brothers song, actually, though.
It was,
It
yes.
is, yes.
And Dick Van Dyke. So this was Don Q Coconut Rum, Don Q Crystal Rum, banana liqueur, and tropical fruit juices. And oh my gosh, it's just so...
And I believe I've never walked into that
good.
place without drinking at least one of those. Yes, that's my favorite drink there.
It's so good. But literally any of them off the menu, you are not going to go wrong. This is one of those restaurants. Everything has sort of an Asian, Indian vibe to it. The vibe of the whole restaurant is just so welcoming, and you feel like you're traveling in the Himalayas, and you just stopped into this really cool place and were welcomed by the locals. Like, it's just so neat. I highly recommend Yak and Yeti.
One thing to note is they do have a walk-up version of Yak and Yeti actually right next door that has honey chicken, and
they have the egg rolls there. A couple of the more easy to carry items, like if you were going to get it. The fried rice, we've gotten there a couple times. We actually got that for breakfast one time.
They also serve breakfast there. So if you walk in and you're on that side of the park for Everest, or just happen to be walking around that side of the park, they do have breakfast.
At the walk-up.
At the walk-up, yes. So that's something to note. Most of the restaurants that we talked about, you can actually get on a wait list for if you go in right after park opening, about the same time that the restaurants open. They'll usually have somebody out front where you can go out and actually join a wait list. Some of them also have wait lists on the app, so if you have the My Disney Experience app open, you can join a wait list that way as well.
You usually have to be within like walking range, so within the park to get on those wait lists on the app. You can't join like while you're at Magic Kingdom thinking, oh, maybe we'll go to Nomad later. It doesn't usually work that way. Right. So check it out when you're there, because those can be useful. So honorable mentions. Do you have, like I said, I had 14 choices here. So
my honorable mention, I had one actually, and it was Kona Cafe for the Tonga Toast. Since
nice.
It didn't make my top 5, it did, and then I removed it and put back in Blue Zoo. Kona Cafe to me has a history with us with the parks, and so I couldn't leave it off the list. So it is my honorable mention.
And that's why nostalgia took over, and it absolutely went in that top 5 spot, even though there are other restaurants that probably have better food.
The last one I want to just bring up is the Fiesta Fun Center, a cafeteria they had. It's not table service, but going back to 1983 when Sue and I were there and we stayed at the Contemporary with our parents, we would go down there at all hours and get soft serve ice cream. And so I just want to bring that up because it's such a good memory for us.
That was one of our favorite things. And there was an arcade down there, and you had to go down this escalator to get down there. It was just one of those things where we felt like grown-ups because we got to go play on our own for a while.
If you're curious where that is, now look for the sign that says Steakhouse 71.
And speaking of which, I do have a short list of places which are not on my list, but probably would be when we get to try them.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't tackled all the restaurants yet. We're working on it.
We're getting there.
But Steakhouse 71 is one of those. I've heard it's absolutely fantastic, and we just haven't been over there. Tiffin's, like I said, we haven't gotten to do that one yet, but again, Kingdom, I hear it's amazing. Phase 220, we keep trying to get into the lounge. We have not succeeded yet. If anyone has tricks for us to get on that list, we would love to be able to do a reservation there.
The lounge, though, over the restaurant, I think, at this point.
And because the restaurant is prefix.
Yeah.
That's also, California Grill was on my list forever of ones that I wanted to do, and they've switched to a prefix menu, and I just can't justify that cost knowing that I can't eat that much food. I don't want that forced on me for a price.
Right.
Knowing that I can leave half of it behind. I can't justify that. But my honorable mentions, I won't go through all 14. I will spare you that. But the ones that were so close to making the list, Citrico's at the Grand Floridian.
Oh, yes.
We had an absolutely fantastic experience there. We had swordfish that had a beurre blanc and shrimp topping. It was one of those things that has just lived in my memory all this time because it was so good. And again, service just way stellar. Beyond. Skipper's Canteen made my list as well. And then Gico. I want to call out Gico, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I can't even believe I did a top 5 sit-down restaurants and didn't include Gico. It's that good. And that's over at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah. Gico is, again, one of the higher-end restaurants. And if you have kids, probably not one that you want to look at.
And if you have a budget one you don't want to look at.
Exactly. It has the largest wine collection from South Africa, though, outside of South Africa.
And we actually did a pretty thorough review of it on our Disney Splurges Worth the Money episode. So if you want to hear more about Gico, go back and listen to that one.
All right. I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you.
Uh-oh.
What is your favorite restaurant at Disneyland?
Disneyland? Mm-hmm. Sit-down restaurant?
Let's do sit-down restaurant.
I mean, it's hard to beat Blue Bayou just atmospherically. However, I'm actually going to say Cafe Orleans. I have very fond memories of going to Cafe Orleans over the years. I love
the pommes frites.
They have the Monte Cristo over there now as well.
Oh,
but
I love that sandwich.
Everything that they've had, they've switched up their menu several times. But every time it's just been fantastic. And it's one of those things it's a sit-down restaurant, but you're sitting outside. It doesn't feel formal. You feel like you're still in the park. But it just feels a little more casual than some of the table services. And I just have really, really fond memories of going there when my friend Andy and I had season passes when I lived down in LA for a while. We would go, and he would always call them the pommy frites. And we would get the pommes frites, which is...
Fancy French fries
with Parmesan and herbs, and they're so good.
And a remoulade.
Yes, to dip them on.
How do you pronounce that? Remoulade?
Remoulade. What is yours?
A dipping sauce. Well, actually, Cafe Orleans was almost it for the same reasons. It was one of those things that always was our second choice if we couldn't get into Blue Bayou, but it became our favorite simply because we went there so often. My favorite, though... This is going to harken back to when we were kids.
Uh-oh.
All the way through college, actually, for me, because the Disney Republic Incorporated used to eat breakfast there, which is me and our brothers and a couple friends. And that is the Riverbell Terrace for breakfast. The Mickey pancakes, the Mickey waffles, the eggs that weren't so great. It wasn't the best food, but it was the memories that location has for me. We always ate breakfast there. There was a few times that we would do Carnation, and way back we did the Egg House.
Yes.
Hills
Oh my
Brothers
gosh.
location down at the very end of Main Street. But there's just something about starting the day at the River Bell with the pancakes and the waffles and the eggs and the bacon. And it was buffeteria style. You'd go in and you would order, and they would give it to you for your tray on a plate, and you would pay for it and go sit down. Not table service. No service at all, really, except for buffeteria style.
Definitely
But
not fancy.
It goes back to being my favorite memories, multiple memories.
That's a really good one.
at
And that
Disneyland.
was back when Mickey waffles weren't everywhere. So it was still special to be able to get them there. That was really cool. Yeah, that's a great choice. If we're going Disneyland food in general, I'll go Bengal barbecue every time.
That's true, yeah. As far as quality of food goes today, Bengal barbecue wins out. You cannot, again, the meat skewers.
So good.
You can tell I'm not a vegetarian.
Well, we would love to know what your top choices are as far as sit-down restaurants at the parks. Go ahead and throw Disneyland curveball in there if you've got one. Or I'd love to know what we're missing out on at the parks, so let us know.
Before we go, we'd like to thank our old friend, an old Disneyland buddy of mine, Andy Apodaca from the Palm Springs Linguist for his support. Also, we'd like to thank Ken and Lynn from the Sweep Spot podcast for their advice and assistance with getting this all started. We'd love to give a big thanks and shout out to our social media coordinator, Riley Piper. Thank you, Riley. We couldn't do this without you. Audio engineers Joey Humphrey and Paul Trett, and our logo artist, Evan Piper, for their invaluable help and support. And as always, thank you, Phoenician.
Thank you, Phoenicians. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really does help people find us.
This has been episode 11 of the Epcotian Adventure. Thanks for coming along with us today. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.